Quick note, if you go BM3 Stage 1, don't put your foot down when you've got cold Michelin Pilot Zunsport tyres. Very important staying alive. Very important. Sideways. Jesus Christ. So 3 days ago I installed BM3 Stage 1 tune onto my M140i, and in today's video we're going to be taking the car out for the very first time to experience what it's like. Hey up everybody and welcome back to the channel. So as you just heard from that little bit of an intro there, we're going to be taking the M140i out for its first drive after we've installed BM3 Stage 1. Now a couple of days ago I bought the license for the BM3 and had the cable shipped to me a couple of days after that. With regards to the installation of the BM3, it is incredibly easy. I did it on my driveway within 15 to 20 minutes, and that's including filming the pieces as well. If you haven't seen the video where I go through the step-by-step tutorial on how you can install BM3 on your car, check the video link down in the description. But in today's video we're going to be taking the car out for its first journey after the remap. Now I am planning to do a dyno session. I'm planning to take the BM3 off of the car, do a dyno as stock, put the BM3 Stage 1 back onto the car, and I'm using the 93 octane, so the 98 run file, and then doing another dyno run to see what the differences are. I do also have plans to start testing with Draggy, if you don't know what Draggy is, it's a telemetry device that allows you to time things such as 0 to 60, 60 to 100, 100 to 200 kilometers an hour, and then everything you can possibly think of, you can make custom parameters to time whatever you want. Now I think that'll be quite an interesting video because we get to see what the real world differences are between a stock and a BM3 Stage 1 car on real roads. No dyno, no inflation of figures or anything like that. It's purely one car against the other, or rather one file against the other. If you want to keep up to date with that video, be sure to subscribe to that channel. I will be doing that video as soon as I'm allowed out, as soon as these restrictions are lifted, and until we've got a little bit more freedom of movement. But before we get into the meat and bones of this video, I'd like to say a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Bolt-On Mods. Boltonmods.co.uk are a leading online performance retailer providing parts and services for BMW, Volkswagen, Seat and Audi. They cater for everything from the M135i to the X6M and everything in between. You can find popular tuning software such as the BM3 and JB4 platforms, alongside fantastic products such as charge pipes, downpipes, exhausts, and even custom tunes from the likes of Jordan Tuned. They even have a fresh stock of the Dodge high-pressure fuel pump upgrades for the N55 and B58 models, allowing you to push the limits of your car even further. Be sure to check out their website. You can find a link down in the description below, and when you order, put JGB in the special notes of your purchase to let them know you came from this video. Okay, so we are in the car. So the first thing that I'm wanting to do today is go to a petrol station, simply because I do not have any fuel left and I don't want to be driving about with no fuel. So I'm going to head over to a Shell, which is a couple of miles away from my house. I'll get to know how the car responds in slow circumstances, if that makes sense, to see if the throttle response is any different, to see what the power's like lower down in the revs and that sort of thing. And then we're going to be heading over to the shop. So I've got a couple of shopping bags in the back ready to go. There's some national speed limit roads on the way there, going from a 30 to a 70, so I'll have a chance to see what the acceleration is like as well. I'm looking forward to it. Stay tuned to find out what my thoughts are, and we'll have a bit of a roundup at the end. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier on, the installation of the BM3 was absolutely flawless. It only took 15 to 20 minutes. There was nothing wrong in that. There's nothing confusing. You can do it on Mac, Windows, Android, iOS, depending on how you're wanting to install it on. But I've got no complaints over the installation of this. Now, even from just going down the hill from my house, you can tell that the throttle response is there a little bit. There's a little bit more power and it's just a little bit more urgent. And I don't know if you can hear that, but I've set the burbles to maximum aggressiveness on 2.5 seconds. Now I am going to change that. I just wanted to find out what it's like, but listen. That's crazy, that's loads. Now, one of my sort of only concerns about this car in its standard form is that when you are pulling away from a junction, it's a little bit lethargic, it doesn't want to go. It's a bit of an odd sensation, but this has definitely changed it, so it's a lot more eager. Yeah, definitely. So I've just done literally 20% throttle through first and second gear, and it's moving very, very quickly. Now what's quite interesting is I've actually got turbo noises now. It's not sort of or anything like that, it's more of a whoosh. And what you guys didn't know is that I installed a pipe across panel filter to the car probably a couple of days before I installed the BM3. Now I took the sound deadening foam out of that. Whether that's a result of that, I'm not entirely sure. I can hear the turbo whistling a little bit, which is always nice. but it definitely sounds a lot meaner and a lot more aggressive. So we've just pulled up at the Shell garage. Of course I'm going to be getting V-Power, the 99 RON fuel. I'm not actually going to be going inside the petrol station. I'm going to use Shell's contactless way of paying. It recognises what station you're at, you choose what pump you're at, you choose how much you want to fuel, it'll take it automatically out of your PayPal and you don't need to go and see anybody. Okay, so we've just put the fuel in, £1.21 per litre. Now that is the lowest I have ever seen V-Power. I think the last time I came and got V-Power it was at £1.45. And by the way, it's been 7 weeks since I've filled up this car. It's been a very long time. It's the highest miles per gallon I've ever got in my entire life. But I'm so happy about the fuel being a lot cheaper now. Okay, so we're on one of the main roads now. I'm just going to put my foot down a little bit. I'm going to close the window before I do and just see how the car reacts. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. Okay. I need to make sure I'm on a high speed limit road before I do that, because this thing picks up so quickly. Like, it actually took me by surprise then. Obviously I'm used to the car in its stock form, I'm used to the car with its stock tune. But that was just incredible. That just picked up instantly and it just went. There's so much torque there as well. I don't actually know what the torque figures are for the BM3 Stage 1. I think the standard car is 500 Newton meters, so I would imagine we're looking at maybe 560, 570, maybe towards 600 Newton meters. I'm not entirely sure, I might just be chatting absolute shit, but this car is incredibly fast. Woo, okay. Quick note, if you go BM3 Stage 1, don't put your foot down when you've got cold Michelin Pilot Supersport tyres. Very important to staying alive. Very important. Now I've just had to close my window because the wind noise on here does get quite aggressive. So what you just saw there was 35 to 70 miles an hour. In that. I'm going to kill myself in this car. I really am. So now we're going from 60 mile an hour. There's a speed camera just here. Make sure we're under 60 mile an hour, and then it opens up to 70 mile an hour. But I'm actually doing 50, so wow, sideways, 70 mile an hour. Okay. This is a serious piece of kit now. Now the original car was quick. There was no shadow of a doubt about that. But the BM3 Stage 1 has just sort of unlocked the car's potential. And this is without any hardware mods. This is before we get a downpipe, this is before we go Stage 2, this is before we get a fuel pump and start going for 500 brake horsepower. But before we get anywhere near any of that, one thing that I must say is I need to lower the car because it doesn't feel as stable as it did. Of course, the faster you go, the more that feeling is exacerbated. And I also need to invest in a diff, because I was at 55 mile an hour then, I punched it on the throttle and the back end came out. Now it's not exactly wet, it's not exactly cold, it's currently 16.5 degrees. I've been driving for a couple of miles, so the tyres should have some heat in them, but it did break traction. I am very impressed because a lot of people shout about the BM3, and these sort of mobile tuning solutions have always been a bit elusive to me. I've never really been that interested in them. But the more and more I look at it, the more interested I was. And I think the big benefit for this, and one of the arguments is, you can't get a custom tune on a piggyback like a JB4 or a BM3 on an MHD. But in reality you can. So Bolton Mods, who I got this BM3 license from, they sell maps from Cobra Exhaust, who's one of the biggest BMW tuners in the US. And he can go into the back of your BM3, you send him some log files, you send him some diagnostics and all that sort of stuff. He'll make adjustments from there. And from what I've seen on one of the Facebook groups, the BM3 Facebook group, is that Kerry Jordan's tuned M140i, and I think it's owned by a chap called Duncan, please correct me if I'm wrong, is incredibly quick, a lot quicker than an off-the-shelf Stage 2 tune. Okay, so we're not long about to pull up to the shop. I've got a bit of a stretch in front of me. I'm stopped at a roundabout. There's a national speed limit road there, so I'm going to take it easy till I get to the sign for the national speed limit, and then we punch. Oops, sideways. Jesus Christ. Okay, slow down, we need to pull in here. Woo. Well, there's no traffic behind me. There was when I was at the traffic light, but there's none now. I'm going to treat you guys to some pops and burbles. So this is the most aggressive 2.5 second tune that you can have for the burbles. I am going to change it because it's ridiculous, but just have a listen. Two and a half seconds every single time, and now there's a huge queue here, which I'm not particularly keen on, but at least I'll get a bit of a suntan waiting there. Okay, so I have finished the shopping. I was stood in the queue for 1 hour, so it gave me a lot of time to think about this BM3 Stage 1. I'm very, very impressed with it. That's the long and short of it. It's taken an already good, impressive car and turned it into a ballistic missile. You guys won't be able to hear it, but the turbo sounds that I get, because I've had the window open a little bit here, the turbo sounds that I get from this side of the car is ridiculous. It's a load of whooshing. I can hear the turbo whistles a little bit. It just sounds a hell of a lot more aggressive. Of course, with the camo wrap that we've got on the car, it turns heads. The noise now turns heads, the sound now turns heads, the car itself turns heads. The BM3 will surprise a lot of cars on the road. So I spoke about numbers a little bit earlier on and I wasn't 100% sure, so I've just got the website up here and it's quite interesting reading actually. So the Stage 1 91 octane, which is a 95 RON here in the UK, so the normal fuel, you get 18% horsepower and 26% torque. So 18% horsepower off 340 is going to be around about 60, 62, 63, something along them lines. So you're looking at near enough 400 brake horsepower and 95 RON fuel. Stage 1 93 octane, which is a 98 RON file. Of course, I run 99 RON fuel in this car, as I do with every single car that I own. That is up 20% horsepower and 26% torque. Now, if you're looking at stock BMW figures, 340 brake horsepower, round about that figure, you're looking at an increase of 68 brake horsepower. 68 brake horsepower from something you can do in 15 minutes on your drive with a laptop or your phone. That's incredible. So even at BMW's quoted figures, you're looking at around 400 brake horsepower, 410, there or thereabouts. If you're looking at the actual figures, which tend to fluctuate between 340 and 360, depending on which dyno you go to, because you know it's no secret that these cars do dyno higher than what BMW say, you're looking at around the 420 brake horsepower mark, which for the amount of money that you pay, for the fact that you can sell the license on, and with how convenient it is to actually put onto your car, it's incredible value for money. It really is. And I'm not one to sort of brag about products that I'm not impressed with. I'd like to think that you guys know that I am honest, so if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you guys and I'll take it off. But this BM3 is single-handedly, quite possibly, been the most impressive mod that I've done to a car. Done. So before I round out this video, I'm going to give you guys one more acceleration onto this slip road. Wow. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to like it, subscribe to the channel, keep up to date with all of the things we're going to be doing with this car, because there are a hell of a lot more plans to actually come. Of course, the coronavirus had stifled quite a lot of them quite early on. Some of you guys may know that I haven't owned this car for all that long now, but we're going to be going Stage 2. We may go Stage 2 plus with the fuel pump. I want to hit 500 brake horsepower with this car, but before I do that, I need a diff, I need some more handling mods, I need some chassis mods, I need some wheels. I need some lighter wheels, by the way, because the stock wheels with the camo wrap look just a little bit silly, so that's all to come as well. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching all the way through, and I will catch you guys next time.